Well, good morning, gentlemen, and we have Mr. Bickford with us this morning, and you look after the extension service. Is that right, Mr. Bickford?
I do.
Yeah.
I'm the extension director.
Yeah, and I think the extension service, we've heard through testimony, it's very important to our Vermont agricultural economy. And we've heard that with all the additional ag practices that farmers are trying to perform, that the extension service plays a major part in all that with the technical advice and assistance. And we also heard from Addison County, where their extension agent is thinking of retiring, and they're quite concerned that it may be up to a year and a half before they get a new one. And so we'd like to hear, first of all, how you folks are working with the ag community, and then we'll talk a little bit about the concerns of replacing agents as they're needed. And the other thing we'd probably like to hear from you is where there are no agents, or if what the ratio is with the counties and all that. So before you kick off, I'll have the committee introduce themselves, and then we'll get right with it.
Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Beckford. Chris Pearson, Chittenden County Senator.
Good morning, Chris.
Good morning. I'm Anthony Pollinator from Washington County.
My pleasure.
Morning, Brian Collmore, representing the Rutland County District.
Wonderful. Good to meet you.
And Corey Parent's a guy on our screen that's frozen. And I'm Senator Bobby Starr he's from Franklin County, and I'm from Orleans County, the chair, Bobby Starr. So welcome, and it's good to have you with us this morning.
Okay, thank you, Senator Starr, and thanks again to everybody else. It's my pleasure meeting you through this medium. I have heard lots about you. I took the pleasure of Googling all the folks that I hadn't heard about from others. Google is a great thing these days. You hear a lot, see a lot. So that was wonderful. I've been here at UVM now for 8 months, a little over 8 months. And so part of my tenure here so far is to get familiar with everything that's happening at UVM Extension and everything that's happening in UVM itself that impacts Extension, as well as impact our communities that UVM Extension serves. Just by way of giving you a brief on who I am, I'm an agriculturalist to the bone. I've not been doing administration all my life. A big chunk of that was in agriculture. I worked overseas for many years, and I also worked for the University of Florida Extension for 15 years. Worked first as an agriculture agent in both livestock and crops and soils. And I spent about 6 years of that tenure there as a county extension director in Lee County, Florida, which is a fairly sizable county. I spent 2 years in North Carolina, in the North Carolina extension system before I arrived there, after spending 1 year overseas doing some consulting work, that is. So it's my pleasure to be here, and it's my absolute pleasure to be in Vermont. I love the terrain. I love the state. It's beautiful. I'm getting used to the cold. Bizarre to me, I was in the Middle East for almost a year and experiencing 140-degree weather for Fahrenheit. And I was just looking the other day and I was experiencing the opposite of that at -11 in Burlington. The extension service in the United States was basically birthed through the Smith-Lever Act to serve people, to empower people, not just in agriculture, but in various areas of their lives. In other words, extension was actually established as a means of extending education, information, and research empowerment so that it can have an impact out there with a common man or common woman. And that's exactly what we do in Vermont. The University of Vermont Extension is equally good at doing this. And based on the history I've looked at, they have been great in performing services, necessary services to all the people that we touch on a daily basis. Agriculture is a very important part of what Extension does. Many people actually see Extension as agriculture extension. As a consequence of that, UVM Extension has 11 offices across the state. I'm sure you all are familiar with that. And we strive to ensure there is presence in those offices. We have been going through trying times before I got here last year, through this pandemic, which is unprecedented, absolutely. None of us in our lifetime have seen a pandemic of this nature. Well, pandemic at all. And we've made the necessary adjustments to dealing with that. One of the consequences of the pandemic is that people are leaving jobs, people are moving out, they're making decisions that they hadn't even contemplated prior to that. And all institutions, including this one, have to adjust to that. One such scenario happened in Addison County in one of the agronomists there, Kirsten Workman, actually deciding to take leave and take a job at Cornell. Cornell is in New York, and they're very competitive, and they've managed to snag her. And one of the reasons they look at her and snagged her and offered her a job with significantly higher salary than she was paid here is because they saw her good work. I mean, they know what's happening, and they want to pull that kind of impact into New York. We have responded to that. We're replacing her position in Addison County to serve the Champlain Valley farmers groups, as well as the Connecticut Valley. We're expanding beyond that one hire to put in support and technical assistance for that position, so that the replacement scenario is going to be better than what existed in recent years, even while she was there. In addition to that position, we have another agronomist in Jeff Carter, who is about to retire. His position is a little bit different because he's a faculty member. And what that means is that faculty are people who are tenured in the university. And in order to hire into that kind of thing, regardless of where you are in the university, whether it is extension or any other place, the process is a little bit longer. So we're looking to, in a few months or so, hire to replace Kirsten. But to hire a faculty member, it's going to take a little bit longer. That process has started. It has started this month, February. So we're looking at within, hopefully, if I should be optimistic, it should happen before 1 year, as you mentioned. But generally, it takes a little bit longer to hire faculty than it takes to hire staff, which is Kirsten's position, the agronomy position. So there are two positions that we're filling, and we're adding technical staff support in addition to that. The hope is to make the agronomy program in the Champlain Valley and Connecticut Valley even more powerful than it has been before. So that's my quick way of responding to that.
I don't know, are there any questions from the committee members to this point? No, no, okay, go ahead.
Right. So one of the wonderful thing is that as I've arrived here since May of last year, we have been looking at all our vacant positions at UM Extension that have not been filled for a long time, that needs people to come in and serve the communities across the state of Vermont. And two such positions are going to be filled for the first time since 2014. One is a forestry position, and the other is a community development position. These are people who come in and do mostly extension work, but to actually make sure that bridge between academics, research, and extension happens. The word extension is an interesting one. And as I mentioned earlier, the whole idea of extension was that education and research that happens within the halls or in the fields of a university doesn't just stay there as it has been happening in Europe for many years, but it moved through extension agents to people that matter. That is what created the wonderful upshift in dairying, for example, maple production that has happened in the state of Vermont for over the last almost 100 years or more. And we're making sure that we continue that. But since 2014, these two positions I just mentioned were vacant, and we're doing active searches right now to make sure that those are filled. And these people are going to be based in our extension offices, field offices. We're not sure which one yet, but we'll figure that out depending on where the person lives right now, where they're coming from. We're going to make sure that that happens. In addition to that, there are a number of other really great things that are happening. We continue to find grant sources to boost our outreach. We have multiple Northeast Dairy Business Innovation Grants, which is providing technical assistance to our dairy farmers and others. Beyond that, we're making sure that staffing increases in places where staffing has been a little low. So for example, in the Newport office, where we just had one person working for several years, based on my understanding. And I've visited the Newport office a couple of times. I think my first time was in June, and I'll be actually heading there if the weather permits. I'll be going back to Newport on Friday. We have increased the staffing there from 1 to 3 people. And the additional 2 people are regional coordinators of major programs. One is the FNIP, or the Expanded Food and Nutrition Expanded Program. That is important. These are the people that actually do the food stamps, carry that part of the Farm Bill to support and educate, to empower folks who need that kind of education and help. Our 4-H educator is also there, and we have a 4-H, we have an HR person in that office. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Beyond that, we're doing big things.
So you're gonna have one food nutritionist in Newport to work with our schools in our area on food.
Absolutely, and they're already there.
Oh, well, good. And you're gonna have an HR person in Newport?
Already there.
Yeah, and one agricultural general or 4-H?
4-H, yes, already there.
Okay.
So that has happened, and that's great. That's great. I think that's great progress, and I'm happy it's happening. It looks like it's coinciding with my arrival, because I've not yet had time to assess fully the state of extension in the state of Vermont, but I think we're making progress towards fixing the low-hanging fruit that has been out there hanging for a while. I want to also announce to you that Dr. Lisa Chase is actually hosting the International Conference on Agritourism this August. And it will be a hybrid conference. This is an international conference. It's going to have people from all over the world. We think that agritourism is a magnificent opportunity in the state of Vermont. And I consider agritourism a value added for our farmers. People know us for our green production, but we want to also be known for our products. And one such product is the environment in which we do agriculture. Agritourism, therefore, is an important aspect of that. And Dr. Lisa Chase is hosting this international conference in August. It will be both in person and virtual, and we're looking forward to having great success coming out of that. So I'm proud to report that is in process. Another thing I wanted to point out is that the Procter Maple Research Center is having its 75th anniversary this year. So if you haven't started seeing this yet, it's going to increasingly be happening in the media. Certainly, if you've been watching Across the Fence, which I'm sure everybody on the Senate Ag Committee watch regularly to make sure you see what's happening, not just in extension, but in agriculture. One of the very last programs they did last week was a report on the 75th anniversary of the Procter Maple Research Center. Awesome to see. They also have a YouTube channel on Across the Fence. And so if you miss anything, you just go to YouTube and type in Across the Fence programs and you'll find it. But it's a great expose of everything that the Procter Maple Research Center has done over the last 75 years. And the advances coming out of the research done there that have not just impacted Vermont, but the entire world in terms of how people are seeing maple, harvesting of maple, that kind of thing. It's such a tremendous thing, and I'm proud to see this and proud to be a part of that. I'm proud certainly to work with my colleagues in that realm. In addition to all of those things, we have in the Brattleboro area, Dr. Vern Grubinger has been doing tremendous work in grazing and in berry and vegetable production in that area. And certainly he has statewide impact, but he has launched a new Pollinator Program, and we've hired for that. We've filled that position over the last 3 months or so. And this pollinator or pollination expert is going to come in and educate our producers on this business of pollinator importance, pollinator services. Many people don't know that a lot of the forage that goes into beef and other livestock is not just grass. They're legumes, and legumes require the kind of pollinators that are not just honeybees. We have all kinds of native pollinator species, native bees too. Bumblebee, there's 1,000 species or more, species of just bees alone that we have identified in New England area. So this person is going to come in and coordinate those kinds of things, make sure that those habitats are preserved, make sure that we understand these things better, and look at how this can lend itself to improving the products of agriculture that we have in the state of Vermont. This is an important step forward. I'm very, very pleased to see this happening. I'm just going to pause to see any thoughts.
Yeah. Questions from any of the committee members? Senator Collmore?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, Mr. Beckford, welcome. Can you walk through the process of how you find the replacement for the extension agent in Addison County? I'm curious why it takes longer to find one person than just the staff person, and why you mentioned that hopefully it'll be over a period of a year. So do you advertise the position and then interview? How do we go about doing that?
Well, okay. So the first thing that happens when you're hiring a staff is that we create a everything goes through our HR department. We make sure that we put that request in for any staff that we have. So a staff hire. So when you think about extension agent, first of all, we don't really use that term in Vermont, but let's use it for the sake of this conversation. There are more than one extension agents in Addison County. Right now, just around now, we had two of them in Kirsten and Jeff Carter. They both do similar work, except that one is a staff, considered staff. She has a master's degree, and the other one is Jeff Carter. He also has a master's degree as a terminal degree, but faculty generally have PhDs and they do research. That enhances what the university looks like. The more doctoral faculty members we have doing research and lending it to extension and anything else, is the higher up we go in terms of our status in the nation of universities. So right now, UVM is considered a R2 or Research 2 level university. When we look at bringing in faculty, tenured faculty to do work, we get to level 1. And that's one of the goals of the university. I don't want to speak too much more about that because that's above my pay grade a little bit. Anyway, so let me just give you a quick comparison, Senator Collymore. To hire a staff agent, we establish the need for it. HR approves it. We establish a search committee, and then that search committee comprised of about four to six people or so, set about, and we put together a job search, and we attract candidates, and we do attract a lot of candidates in Vermont, and then we go about interviewing and all that. That takes some time because you don't want to do this really quickly. Too quickly that you eliminate people who are interested, who have seen your ads too late, that kind of thing. So I would say, maybe around 3 months or so, we'll identify somebody, and then that person, depending on where they are, whether they're working somewhere else, they give notice. They'll take a couple of weeks, maybe a month to come in. So somewhere around 4 months or 5 months. In my case, for me coming here, it took me about 4 months before that whole process was done. And this was just once I accepted the job. It took a while for me to come here because, I had to finish up what I was doing elsewhere before I come here. But that's tough. For faculty, there's a more formal process in the university. The request has to go through the provost of the university. And this happens in February of the year. So we're in February now. And that sets the ball rolling. There's approval. And then that then triggers the position description rewrite. And then you'll set up a search committee. That process, because of it's more formal, takes a little bit longer. So we want to be very conservative. So we say a year, but it could take about 6 months or more to do faculty as compared to staff. It's a little longer because there are formalities involved in the process. I hope that gives you a better sense of why that happens. But we always want to be conservative, Senator Collymore. We don't want to go and say, we're going to do this in 3 months and it doesn't happen, and then you're disappointed and I look like somebody who's not telling the truth. So conservatively, it will take 9 months to a year. If we get it right, it will be much shorter. But that's the best answer that we can give under the circumstances.
Thank you.
Yep. Senator Pearson?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Beckford, just along the same lines, it had been presented to us that because it was a faculty position, there were actually not just the length of a search, but there was a a process to get the permission to refill the slot. And forgive me if you've just said this, because I'm juggling with a few things this morning, but
Right.
is that true? And is that part of the is that part of what slows you down?
Absolutely. There's a formal process that has to happen, because just the mechanics of the formality of hiring faculty has to go through the provost, and then it has to go through a number of other processes before you get to the point where you can actually then say, let's actually start a search committee and do all that stuff. That's happened. And this happens in every university. Hiring faculty is always harder.
Yeah, no, and I guess that standard has some logic to it. What, if you're saying it's 9 months to a year, let's say it's a year, how much is that first step, a 3-month backup or a 6-week, or I guess that at the root of my question is, I understand you have to go through that process, but maybe we could help. We're just at this moment in Vermont agriculture, in the food system, potential in many risks of supply chain issues and so on and so on, and unlike faculty that are only potentially teaching classes, which is very important, we're also dealing with a big segment of Vermont's economy and a growing season. And so the timeline is, we're kind of sensitized to the timeline. And I guess I'm wondering, and you wouldn't be able to advocate for this, but Senator Starr is very powerful. I don't know if you know that, and he carries a lot of influence. And maybe if there were people that he could call, we could truncate that first section. So that first part, before you're even allowed to start the search, any guess on how long that takes?
So I'm new at UVM. I've been here 8 months, as I said. Based on everything I've learned, it's a process. I don't want to tell you it takes 2 months when it does take 3 months, but here's what I want you to be aware of. One is that this is not simply just one faculty position going to the provost office for review and for examination. There's every part of the university, faculty needs go to that one person to look at, because faculty is faculty, regardless of where they are in the university. They're the same. When you put tenure on top of that, you've got to make decisions that are correct, and that has impact beyond, the department in which this person serves. So there's a process there. Influence is always a good thing. To exert influence, I think, is always a good thing. Here's what I want to console you about, Senator Pearson, that the Addison County area is not going to be voided of expertise, because we're going to, the current person who's going to retire is leaving in May. We have already started this process in February, okay? In the meantime, we're getting to the point where we're looking to hire somebody, hopefully by May, the staff position, who is coming in very qualified to be able to provide services. That person will have a team with them to be able to go out and provide technical assistance to farmers, so that by the time the retirement happens, the position that is already gone will have already be filled, so there'll be no gap in service and technical assistance. And so when that faculty person comes in later on, it will just be a boost in services and not void in the services that we provide in that area.
Thank you.
So what you're going to do then is you're going to hire an individual to take Jeff's place with, say, boots on the ground. And during that process, you're going to be hiring the faculty person that has the ability to take that position over once they're hired. Is that
I think it's the other way. It's the other way around. We're hiring the person to replace Kirsten, and then Jeff is faculty. Once Jeff goes, then we'll fill that position. But that process is already starting in February to replace Jeff. But in the meantime, between now and May, we're hoping to fill Kirsten's voided position with the staff agronomist to get the work done. So that by the time Jeff leaves in May, hopefully we'll have made progress to hiring the faculty person already.
Because now Jeff is the only one there, right?
There
Because
you
the
go.
other person has gone to Cornell. So
Absolutely.
you're gonna rehire or fill the empty position that's there right now, and that person should be on board by May.
Hopefully.
But we're still gonna be down one person there until Jeff's position is filled, right?
We're still going to be down one person. Bear in mind that we don't just have one person now. We do have technical support people who support them, who are very smart people with degreed people who are actually pretty much, they serve the extension agents. They work in the field and do work. So we don't have a void in the field. We do have technical people there currently. And so we'll have more than one set of boots on the ground, but we'll just increase that and fill all the vacant positions once we get to May and beyond.
Yep. Other questions from the committee? No, Corey? No? Well, they may move a person from Franklin County to Addison County. You want to stay tuned in here, you know.
I am, but Franklin County is the largest dairy county and fastest growing county besides Chittenden County in the state. That would be foolish.
If there are no other questions on this, do you put together your own budget, or how does your budget get put together?
We do have a team of people who put together the budget. As you're aware, part of our budget is fixed and it comes from the federal government. And then the other part of the budget comes from the state to match those funds. But to pull all that together, we do have a team, financial services team that's currently about to embark on this. They've already started. I'm about to get into meetings to discuss the budget in full.
Because as you probably already know, we as senators and legislators, we've been talking about raising UVM's base grant amount about around $10 million. And the way that is set up, extension's supposed to get 25% of that. And so, you should have a little influx of new money that we haven't had to give you in the past, and you've been good enough not to ask for big increases in the past, in the last few years because of the economy in general. But now we have money, we're gonna take care of those that helped us take care of the state. So you should have a little increase from us. And is your federal money working out pretty good, or?
Well, as you're aware, as I've said a couple of times, this is going into my ninth month here. I wish for more. I wish our budget could be doubled because we do so much more. UVM extension is unique in the scheme of things because we're not considered cooperative extension. And let me just spend about a minute talking about that. I know cooperative extension happens in many states, certainly in New York. And it, what explains cooperative is a complete cooperation between the federal government, the state government, and county governments. So the extension service there, as in many other places around the country, receives funding from those three sources. In Vermont, we don't have county government. So one leg of that three-legged stool is missing. So we don't have the third part to add support, even if it's not money, support. In New York, for example, every county provides space for county extension offices. In our case, we have to lease space to do what we do. But we've managed to do it because we moved away from that county model in Vermont, I think in the 90s. That's based on what I hear. So part of our funding goes towards those leases too. So we have money bleeding out because what we're doing in Vermont is to make sure that we are providing very similar services as any cooperative extension service would do anywhere in the country. And we've done that valiantly. So any kind of help we receive in our budget certainly would be a boon to us and a blessing. I know we don't have Bill Gates in the Senate committee, but I think I heard that Senator Starr is the next best thing to that. So any kind of compliment you can pay to extension, any kind of influence you can exert, I welcome it. I'm happy to talk, to innovate with anybody on the committee about any ways that we can do to boost extensions budgets, to be able to serve our community better, to spread our money out rather than to concentrate it in places where we don't have to do it.
Yeah, with 11 county agents in 14 counties, I know I live up north. I think we share with Essex County, I believe, Orleans and Essex County.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Do you know which other counties share their county agents?
I'm going to goof on exactly how the counties go. I have been trying to study it. I don't think I'm very versed on knowing all the counties yet, Senator Starr, but we have about 150 employees in extension. We're not restricted to any one county. Anytime there's a need that arises, as long as it fits the ballpark of somebody in extension, we render that service.
Yeah.
I'm from someplace else in the country. I don't really think Vermont is that massive. Well, I mean, a 2-hour ride someplace, is easy for our folks. And I know that our unit members or agronomists, certainly all the people I'm talking about here, Jeff Carter, Vern Rubinger, Heather Darby, all the others, Josh Faulkner, a number of other our high performing folks in extension are not by any means restricted to the place where they live or where their offices are. They serve the whole state of Vermont and they do it very equally.
Yeah, we work a lot with Jeff and a lot with Heather. And I know Heather's mentioned many times about Chittenden County and even comes over to Orleans County. And we're very interested. We keep hearing from our ag people that perform the growing and milking and harvesting that they need more technical help with the technical services that we're asking them to perform for water quality, air quality, and certainly our committee has been very interested in the food industry, making sure that I think Senator Pearson talked a little bit about that, making sure that we grow right food for, the right reasons and have it available for our people. Are there other questions that we would like to get answers to, committee? We're in pretty good shape. At least we can tell those folks in Addison County that there's some help on the way and that we can always move agents or not agents, but personnel from one county to the other to help out in the meantime. Senator Pollina.
Hi. Welcome to Vermont, by the way.
Well, thank you so much.
You already talked about this a little bit, but I'm just wondering why this person has to be replaced with a faculty instead of a staff. I mean, how do you make that determination? Like, you need a certain amount of faculty, a certain amount of staff. I'm just curious how that comes about.
That's a very interesting question. So the position is a faculty position.
Right.
You don't want to go and lose faculty positions when you have an opportunity to keep them, because as I said, having faculty in a university is important. And so this speaks to the broader university issue. And having faculty in extension who can manage and do high quality publishable research is also of high value. And you know that that's the difference between somebody with a basic degree and somebody who has done doctoral work who can do that proficiently for a university. So on the one hand, the question is, why not go ahead and hire staff in there? But on the other hand, it does really well for our university system when we can keep our faculty positions in place. Because extension doesn't just exist as a solitary piece of the university. The land grant mandate comprises education, research, and extension, and faculty actually fill that gap in between that to be able to do those things that make sure that whatever gets to extension is high value and high quality and publishable, and that speaks to all the journals and so you see coming out of universities. So, but it's a great question. I one of these days we can talk more about that.
Thanks.
You're muted, Bobby, but I could read your lips. Thank you. I'm just wondering, is it more likely though that the pool of faculty candidates might be smaller than that of staff, and therefore the interview process and the applications would be smaller and you could expedite this more quickly if you're looking for a faculty replacement? Does that make any sense?
It does, but once again, I think, yeah, and yes, the pool for faculty might be smaller, but the quality and expertise that comes with that is important to us at in Vermont, certainly at UVM. But it's a very important question. That's definitely true. Well, I mean, we really shouldn't function in extension without high quality faculty members. We really need that high caliber because it ramps up our importance in the country. We don't exist in a vacuum. We are a state that has importance in our research and in our extension product. And I want to make sure that high quality caliber functional staff and high quality and high caliber faculty exist in extension for those reasons.
Thank you.
Anything else from anybody?
I just have one note. I want to point something out. So some innovation here. Recently, in recent years, Dr. Margaret Skinner has been working on saffron. And I don't know if you're aware of this. So saffron is a really high value commodity crop. She's done a lot of work on this. She's been published everywhere, not just in journals, but in all kinds of food magazines. The average income from saffron is over $100,000 an acre. She's done a lot of pioneering work in this. I want you to be aware of this, that is also happening at UVM and certainly in Extension. And these things are things to be applauded. And that's one of the reasons why you need high quality researchers who can apply and take things from other places and do that kind of work that gets published far and wide beyond our state. And she's done a great job. And this is something that is going to actually show how great a job that UVM Extension and UVM in general is doing.
Yeah. Anything else from committee members? If not, we certainly want to thank you very much for your time this morning. And I trust that you folks at the university will fill Jeff's vacant position as soon as possible. And certainly, if you ever have any issue that we should know about or can help with, certainly feel free to contact us, and we'll have you in, and certainly we want to wish you the very best. I know it takes a while to get your feet under you and learn the ways of the crew. And so, well, again, thanks a lot. And we'll, ever, if you need anything, holler.
Thank you so much. And thanks to everybody else. And I think you have my contact information. Feel free likewise to reach out to me. I'm happy to provide any kind of answers you're looking for.
Yep, very good. Have a good day.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
So, committee, we, I don't know if we need to talk about the responses that we got to our questions, but it seems like having Jeff Carter's position opening up and having him being a faculty member as well as on the ground guy, it takes longer to fill that position.
But he also said that there would not be a break in the staffing. He made it seem like they wouldn't miss anything. That's the impression I got, because I was going to ask him what they would be missing while this process is going on. But he made it seem like there's going to be by the time this guy leaves, there'll be other people there. I mean, I can't quite explain it, but he gave me the impression that he didn't expect there to be a lapse in service.
Well, I think the lapse will be if there is any, it will be an experienced person leaving and a new person coming in, and there'll be a lapse of knowledge, on the ground knowledge of their services. I don't know. I would assume that. I don't know if you guys caught that, came away with the same feeling. But anyways,
I think it's a little of both, right? They're gonna try hard to bridge the gap with staff that's quicker, and it'll take time for faculty.
well, with all the technical stuff that we're pushing on our entire ag community, they need that expertise there to help them. I mean, if they hire, say, the fertilizer guys, agronomists, and comes out and does some work, people question, well, you're paying the guy, he's going to have it come out like you want it to come out. And that's why I think it's very important to have a non-interested person performing some of these tests on soils and all that. So, well, we'll hold their feet to the fire and keep pushing them on that. And when Kamala comes in, we'll have a little visit. I don't know if he'll make it to our room this year. We could, when he comes to visit, like Pro, so we could schedule something where he could switch over to us either before or after, and push him a little more on getting the job done. So we got Michael coming in on a walkthrough of 268. I guess that bill though is down in Bray's committee, right, Corey?
What's in Bray's?
Is your bill 268?
No, it was 278 got moved there. I don't think 268 did.
270.
I thought it was in judiciary.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
it was, but Bray, they called me into Bray's committee on 268, but then it was just a clerk error. It was 278 I had to testify on. So I thought it had gone over to Bray's.
No, we would have had to vote on that. Are we doing the
Yeah, but Bray
188?
had 4 or 5 bills the other day go over to his committee. So I didn't know if it got caught in that.
So
The agenda has us doing 188 at 10. Are we still doing that or?
Michael is coming in at 10 for that.
okay.
And
Well, maybe
also,
we could take a
and
break.
Stephen Collier also.
Part. What was
Steve
that?
Collier.
Linda?
Yeah.
Steve Collier, 10. Do you want to take a break now till 10?
Yeah, we could. We got 5 or 6 minutes and yeah,
Perfect.
so why don't we take a little break and